Cinta de Oro, golden ribbon. It has meaning behind it. And WWE alum Sin Cara is bringing that meaning to life. Thank you so much. And tell us about adopting the wrestling name, Cinta de Oro.
Well, yeah, I grew up in the border of El Paso and Ciudad Juarez. And back in the day, a wrestler named by Sergio Aguirre Martinez was the one that created Cinta de Oro. And he was one of my idols as a little kid, you know. And as I got older, as I got into wrestling, we became friends, and later he became like a mentor to a lot of us. And it was one of those stories where when I was a little kid, obviously my passion was always wrestling. And in November 1st of 1987, Cinta de Oro faces Rocky Star for mass versus mass, and it has become like the match of in the greatest match in the history of Ciudad Juarez. And I remember when I was there, I was present. Cinta de Oro, Unmasked, Rocky Star. A lot of us, you know, were crying because both of them were our idols, and unfortunately, one had to lose their mask. But all those great memories. As I got older, obviously, you know, we became very good friends. And then he passed away in March of 2016. I was working still for WWE. I was on the road. They called me, they let me know, and I asked permission to go back to Juarez because I wanted to go to the funeral. So I got the opportunity to go back and be at his funeral, you know, and be present, and you know that meant a lot to me. So then in 2017, I started using a mask that was a fusion of Cinta de Oro and Sin Cara. So then I started using it. I had the Sin Cara mask on top, and then I would take it off, and I would have the other mask, like in honor of him, you know, as a tribute to him, and letting people know who Cinta de Oro was, because he never he never went out of town to wrestle other places because he had a family, he already had kids, and he didn't want to leave them. So that was like in a way of like, he let his dream of becoming an amazing wrestler or becoming famous all over the world for being with his kids and his family. So I wanted the people, you know, to know who he was and what he did and things like that. So then when I asked for my release from the company, obviously I understood that the name Sin Cara was the company's, and I wasn't going to be able to keep it or take it anywhere. And so then I started looking for certain things and certain names, and I was in the midst of, like, you know, getting my 90 days to be released. And then they called me one day from the people from social media from the company, and they asked me what name was I going to use so they could change my my social media. And let me tell you this, my idea was never to become Cinta de Oro. So then it was crazy because usually when you do a change for social media on Instagram, Twitter, it takes a few months because everything that they have to do, they got to verify it, or especially our accounts. So then I remember that I got a call like at noon. I told them, I have 90 days. So I just told them, put Cinta de Oro for now, you know, while you know, the other process of registering the other name or the name that I wanted. And it was crazy because that happened at noon. And then like at 6 p.m., I get a message from a friend of mine, Jesus. He's like, hey, have you seen your social media? I'm like, no. It's like, they already changed your name. I'm like, what? So he said, Cinta de Oro. I was like, what? So it was like, it was one of those crazy things. And I was like, man, like, so then I started like everybody started like, you know, on the knee, and like all the wrestling outlets saying, oh, Sin Cara now has become, you know, Cinta de Oro in honor of, you know, Sergio Aguirre Martinez and all. Obviously in the beginning there was a lot of like back and forth with people. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but obviously for me the most important thing is that his family, you know, was happy with my decision, or for me portraying and keeping the name, the legacy going. And I have a great relationship with his kids, with his family, and that's the most important thing for me. So then later on, I had a meeting with his family, and we talked about it. We talked about the decision of me keeping the name, and that's how I ended up, you know, keeping the name of Cinta de Oro and continuing the legacy of this amazing wrestler that it was from my hometown, Ciudad Juarez.
That time, and that's a very interesting story.
Mm.
that time, are you thinking when this is all happening so fast, I need to call the sons up, I need to call the family, because I didn't want them to think that I was just doing this without checking with anyone. Let me call them and then we'll set something up and see what we could do from there. Was that going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, of course. That was my main concern in the beginning, you know, because we had a couple meetings, or I remember that I called him a few times, and we had like a little interview. I haven't put it out, but we did like a little YouTube interview that I wanted to put out, and we talk about, you know, about the life of their father and the things that he did. So they showed me a lot of pictures. They showed me a lot of things from his dad. And I asked him during that time, you know, if one day I would be out of WWE, would it be a possibility if I would be able to wrestle under the name Cinta de Oro? You know, even back in the day, I thought about it, you know, but I never thought that, you know, one day anything would happen and I would become Cinta de Oro. And the crazy thing about this is that I have a lot of things that belong to him. I have the mask that he lost in 1990 against Fishman in Ciudad Juarez. The mask versus mask match in Ciudad Juarez. It was in April of 1990, and I think no, it was July. Sorry, July of 1990. And I had that mask from that match, actual mask. And then when I went to their house, to his kid's house, when I did the little interview with them, I ended up taking a mask that I had gotten a hold of from the 80s from his dad, and I gave it to them as a present. So then before I left, they told me that they wanted to give me something very special. So they gave me the mask that their father used before the day before he wrestled, and he wore the mask as a presentation to the ring, and they gave it to me as a present so I could keep it. So I have those precious masks in my possession, in my collection. I also own like capes and outfits of Cinta de Oro and things that he used to use when he used to wrestle in Ciudad Juarez.
Well, with that, what you're wearing now, is it based then off a combination of things, or do you even think about wearing some of the stuff that he wore that you do have, or you don't want to go that far with it?
No, I don't think I wanna those things are precious to me. I don't wanna, damage them, because I have a beautiful cave that I ended up getting a hold of. And for me it's very special. So if I would do something, I would probably do like a replica of that to be able to wear in the ring, and be able to, keep it in a way like my the identity. I don't wanna change it that much. I don't wanna, I guess, like, in a sense, like, try to create a different what is it, image. I think the image is beautiful, simple, nice. I just added sometimes like a little on my spice. Like, if you can see on this mask, like I have like the like the sun in the front, and then the cross on top, and I just added the cross in the back. So for me, it's important to keep the design. People, I think people like it a lot. I always get a lot of comments when I post a certain picture about a mask, like, oh, that's awesome that you keep, nice and easy, nice and simple, like he used to wear it. So I don't think I would wear anything that he owed. I want to keep it, untouched. I want to keep it the way it is. But I would, definitely try and make something that it's similar to that, to keep myself in the same image. Obviously, I'm putting a little bit of my own in certain things that I do with the mask, but I love the way the mask is, and so that people can continue, knowing who Cinta de Oro was.
Your mask as Sin Cara covered the mouth area.
Yeah,
and in doing that, I always was curious, was it more to stand out when you did that? It was different. And was it okay breathing wise?
Yeah, like this. It's funny because nowadays with people with using a face mask, they like they don't like it. They're like, oh my god, I have to wear a face mask for, when I travel, when I do this, when I that. Imagine me wrestling with this thing on for like 20, 30 minutes, or when I do a presentation, a meet and greet, and things like that. It was I think you get used to it. For me, it was a lot of fun. I'm wearing this mask right now because I'm doing an interview, and obviously it's a lot easier to talk, to speak with this mask, it's a lot harder, obviously, to understand what I'm saying. And but I the essence of this, I want to keep it. I still have the other like the Cinta de Oro mask that are covered completely. When he started wrestling in Ciudad Juarez, I have some pictures of him where the mask was completely covered. And then later on, he started using it with the mouth open. But some of the original masks were completely like covered the face. So I'm trying to keep that same essence. And the ones that I have is like the one that I show you right now, but it's like this, I want to keep it like this with the mouth closed, and when I wrestle to keep in that sense the same image as Sin Cara had, because no matter what I portrayed Sin Cara for 7 years. It was my idea of a lot of the designs that I made. I made it my own when I continue the character.
That's interesting that you designed your own mask. I'm wondering, how many masks do you have about?
Whew, my God, over 1,000 now, I think. But I obviously in my collection of some of the ones that I started when I started, I have the ones when I started wrestling. I have a lot of ones, obviously, when I was in Cara, when I was Místico, when I was Único. And I don't really like, people always ask me, do you sell the ones that you wrestle with? I'm like, I've sold a few, but most of them I keep them on my own for my collection. I also own a big collection of like other masks, El Hijo del Santo, Blue Demon Jr., Tinieblas, El Cobarde, Canek, Villano Tercero, like a lot of the legends from wrestling. So I enjoy having all those masks in my collection.
You are the Mil Mascaras of 2.0 of 2020, 2021.
I also have a Mil Máscaras mask. I think I have two of them.
What a legend. What a legend. Just amazing and all. And I think he was one of the ones that actually started the whole lucha and aerial style, bringing it to America.
Yeah. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame, and he was one of the pioneers for a lot of the Mexican wrestlers to be able to travel to Japan, to other places, to just take lucha libre wherever it could be taken. So that was a thing for me. When I was a little kid, it was amazing to see him wrestle, and then later on in my career, he became like somebody that I would look up to. And then when I was younger, I got the chance to meet him. I went to pick him up at the airport in Ciudad Juarez. The promoter there asked me if I could go, and obviously, me being me, I wanted to meet him. I wanted to see how his face looked and all kinds of stuff. So I ended up going with him and taking him to from the airport to the hotel, and then to the arena, and it was just awesome. And then later through my years, I've been able to see him a few times, because he's Alberto del Rio's uncle. So me and Del Rio are very good friends, and we got to meet up in certain places where we used to wrestle, and we went to eat with his uncle Mil Máscaras a few times.
And Mimo.
Yes, sir. Yes.
His brother. I remember all with that and all. That was so
yes,
good
sir.
and everything. Oh, do you have any? You mentioned a few. Do you have any favorite masked wrestlers, past and present, even?
Oh yeah, of course. There's to be honest, there's a lot. But for me, I remember when I was growing up, it was El Villano Tercero, El Solitario, Mil Máscaras, obviously, El Hijo del Santo. I can name a bunch of them that I used to watch when I was a little kid that I used to admire. But the ones that I really stand out for me were El Solitario, Villano Tercero, Atlantis, El Hijo del Santo.
It's just so amazing, the career of a luchador, and just seeing portrayal of luchador and how famous they can become. You mentioned Santo, and obviously Mil Máscaras, I mentioned, and you mentioned movies, celebrities. It wasn't just the lucha, it wasn't just the wrestling and what they were able to do. Did you ever see yourself one day trying to do movies, trying to do other things because of pro wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still at a good age where I can, still maybe pursue a career in other things besides wrestling. But I think for me, my passion has always been wrestling. If those things come, then it'll be nice to do, a movie. It'll be nice to do a series. And now that we can use all kinds of like streaming, networks, it'll be awesome to be able to do something like that. Right now, I'm in the midst of writing a couple books I'm writing a motivational book, and I'm writing a kids book. And that's something that I always wanted to do for a long time, but I never knew it would be possible. And right now in that position where, I've had a little more time of me being at home and being able to think and being able to write and be able to put my thoughts together. So definitely I would love to do other things besides wrestle. I think wrestling, it's something that it's my passion. It's something that opens a lot of doors in many places, but we have to use it in a way that we can do something positive for the kids, for the public, for the people that that admire what we do. Obviously, they admire the athletic ability that we have and wearing a mask and all those things, but we need to use it in a way that we can have an impact on people, and that's what I try to do in my life, outside wrestling.
Well, speaking of impacting, WWE Be a Star program, anti-bullying, and you've done your share of community events with WWE, which is just amazing, outstanding. I'm wondering for you, what are some of your highlights? What are some of your takeaways in the ring and outside of the ring working for WWE?
Obviously, I think I made a very good relationship with a lot of my coworkers, a lot of the wrestlers, and friendships that last for a long time because or for life, because we started off in the same place, trying to make it, trying to get a career of what we love, and then as the years went by, it was awesome to see. What I was there when Roman Reigns first got to FCW, the first time that he ever got there. And we used to train together. I used to, help him out and train with him. We used to wrestle a little bit of amateur. I also state champ in Texas in wrestling, and we used to wrestle. Me and him used to wrestle, and I used to try and help him out and teach him. But
did you school him in amateur wrestling though? You're a state champ. You're an undefeated state champion, Burges High School.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Roman say that one day if he ever wants to tell. I don't wanna say anything, but he was very it was crazy to see him the evolution that he had as a performer from when he got to the company to where he is now. So it was a lot of fun to be able to see that process of a lot of us, like Big Wyatt also, when he first started, when he was Husky Harris, and then to becoming this amazing character now on television. So for me, I think that's what I take, all those great memories when we used to travel together, when I used to do the Be a Star rallies, when I used to go to schools to read for the kids, and you can tell the impact that you have on those kids. Sometimes I think the schedule that we have, we don't really pay attention to the impact that we have on other people. Or even when I'm home, with my kids, because I'm me when I'm home, but you don't realize the impact that you have on other people. And this couple of weeks, I've been I went to visit a young kid in Tabasco, and he's battling cancer. His family sent me a lot of messages, and I ended up sending a little video, and then out of my heart, I just felt that I needed to do something for this kid to motivate him, to let him know that there's that there's hope, that there's things that he can do to continue living, that there's a purpose. And it was awesome to be able to go there and meet him. And his family has been very nice to me. They're very grateful. Last week in El Paso, I got a call that this young lady, she's battling leukemia. She's 3 years old, and she wanted to meet me. I was like, did she even know who I am? And they were like, yeah, she knows. And it was an amazing experience, because when I got there, as soon as I got there, she ran with open arms to greet me, and she gave me a big hug, and she was like amazed. And those are the things that keep me motivated, that keep me going, no matter what people say, no matter the critics, no matter what happens. I think for me, that's what really matters, that you can have a positive impact on people, even if it's one. It doesn't matter. Even you can change the life of somebody. For me, that's what really matters, and that's why I continue doing what I do. And obviously with pandemic, a lot of things have stopped and in performing wise, but everything's starting to open up. I'm a man of faith, and I understand that everything takes time. And for me, it has been a blessing to be able to be home during this time, during the pandemic, because I've got to know my kids. I was traveling so much, I was out of my house so much, that I missed a lot of things in my kids' life. And for me now, I'm a full-time father. And by this, what I mean, I'm divorced, but I have joint custody. So I have, from Monday to Monday, my kids are with me, and then the other week they're with their mom. and it's fun to be able to be with them all day. And you know, once they get out of school, they want me to play, so we play Twister, we play outside, we play hide and seek, and then being able to like they want to eat something, you know. Okay, I have to cook or I have to go buy them food, and in the morning get them ready for school. I don't even know how to comb. I just do my daughter a little ponytail. That's all I can do. But imagine me like this tough guy, tattoo guy, like, you know, with my daughter, I'm like a teddy bear. but it's a lot of fun, you know. So I think that's what it's been a blessing for me in that way. And obviously I'm very grateful for what WWE did for me. But at the end of the day, it's also we as performers, we give a life for the company. You know, it's not just because we get paid. You know, I love performing, I love what I do, and I had a lot of great times. But I think for me, it was when I asked for my release, for me to continue my life and my career in another place. You know.
Well, I have a couple more questions. I want to get you done because I don't want Michael to be mad at me. So I want to get you out of here.
No worries.
No, we're good. But hey, would you say you're the most famous person now from Burges High School?
Well, we have Aaron Jones. He plays for the Packers.
No. See, I thought you were going to mention the astronaut. I was doing my research. There was an astronaut in there. I was going to maybe mention him, but I'm like, no. You're it. Cinta de Oro is bigger.
If I gotta say, well, I'm gonna have to say it's me.
I would say that too. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, you were undefeated state wrestling champion. And if we get real quick, because I don't want to take too much more of your time, but did you ever think of doing college wrestling?
I did. I actually went to a Western New England College in Springfield, Massachusetts, with Pete Maldonado, and I wrestled there for 1 year. What happened is that I tore my ACL. In the beginning, I was doing great, and then all of a sudden I tore my ACL. So I was out of the season, and then I went to a lot of things during that time. My parents were getting divorced. I was depressed because I was injured, and then so I ended up coming back the next year to El Paso, and then that's when I started training lucha libre. So everything in a sense had a purpose. But I did try to wrestle in college, and unfortunately in Texas, none of the universities or colleges offer wrestling. You have to go out of town, either New Mexico, Arizona. I think that the closest Division I, it'll be in Oklahoma or Arizona for us.
The Midwest, big time with NCAA Division I, and Florida, the same thing. In Florida, there is no college wrestling really in Florida, so you have to go elsewhere. It's harder. All right,
sir.
We'll wrap it up with this. You worked for your grandfather in Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And I'm wondering, was there any time, any thought? No one could replace him. I understand that. But did you ever think, maybe I could be the pallbearer to the Undertaker?
Well, obviously when I used to watch him when I was a lot younger, I was like, man, I'm the real Undertaker, you know. I've been working all my life in a funeral home. You know, I grew up, my grandmother's house was right next to the funeral home. So for us, it was in a sense, I mean, because it was our job. It was normal to be able to, you know, go across to the funeral home and you know, watch what was happening. You know, when I became a teenager, I used to drive the hearse. I used to drive the limousine with the family, you know, would accompany their loved one. I started involving at a very young age also. And I started working there, you know, for my grandfather. I remember that I used to wake up a lot earlier during the summer when I used to work, and then when I used to go to school. I hate waking up early when I used to go to school, but you know, it was a process because I knew that I was gonna get rewarded, you know, for working. So it was a lot of fun, but obviously what I've done in my career, I feel very, very happy, very comfortable. But I used to play hide and seek in the caskets, me and my cousins. So can you imagine that? So when the character of Undertaker, a lot of people were afraid of him, and they were like, "Nah, that's nothing, man." You know, I used to do all these things. I used to sleep in the funeral home at night, and we used to play hide and seek in there and all kinds of stuff.
You could have had a casket match with the Undertaker, and no matter what happened, you'd still win because you didn't care if you were in the casket or not.
That would have been a lot of fun. That would have been a lot of fun doing a casket match.
Did anybody at WWE or even the Undertaker know that you were part of the funeral business back home back in the day? Mm-hmm. Even had a degree, I guess, in that field.
Funeral director and embalmer. Yeah, No, I don't think that I don't think I really told anybody that I used to work at a funeral home. Only certain people, or when I've done a couple interviews, that's when I really mentioned, how I started. But I don't think they really knew. They really knew what was my
Well, did
family
you ever
did. The
think of
funeral.
bringing a character like that too, or no? Because the Undertaker was already doing something that you figure, no, let me just do what I'm doing with my mask and do something along those lines. And
No, I
I'll wrap
think
it up with that.
for me, being a mass luchador has always been my essence. How I feel comfortable, admiring the people that I used to watch as a young kid. So I wanted to keep that same tradition of the luchador throughout my career. So it was tough, and I don't know if you remember. I wrestled for a couple years without a mask when I became Unico, and I ended up loving the character Unico, but it was tough in the beginning being able to wrestle without a mask because my essence was always with a mask on, and I felt that I was like naked, that people were watching me, and I felt like embarrassed. It was crazy. It was crazy the feeling that I had, but for me, the tradition of the mask means a lot. What it means to us, as Mexican people now. It's a national holiday, El Día del Luchador, el 21st of September. It's a national holiday in Mexico. So that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. And I'll let you go with this. Cinta de Oro, thank you so much for the time. What you're doing, we continue to do all the best with the motivational book, the children's book as well. The mask you have on, I know it isn't, but I'll say it anyway. It reminds me a little bit of the Flash, the
Oh,
superhero.
okay. Because of the color. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I never thought about it, but now you're saying it, yeah, it does. Well, thank you,
Do
sir.
you,
Appreciate your time.
do you have any social media for your fans as we go?
Yeah, of course. My Instagram, my Twitter is at Cinta de Oro. It's verified. I have my YouTube channel, and my Facebook is Cinta de Oro Oficial. So people can reach out to me and whatever they need. They want to see my social media. I'm there. I'm the one that answers everybody. I'm the one that does all the social media for myself. It's nobody else but me. So
Hands
thank you very
on,
much for
one
your
to
time.
one. Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. Thank you, sir.